Hello folks, welcome back to Hermione Reads Comics. I'm Hermione, and I read comics. Alrighty, so today's another video, and no, it's not a review of Flying Witch Volume 1. That is going to be at another time. I was currently reading it on the Kindle, so I'm going to kind of give it a break, and basically talk about something that annoys me to no end, and everything. And I decided to do this video because I had watched so many of these videos attacking the Coloursoft and stating that it is not an ideal reader to read, comic books and manga and all this stuff. And the thing that really kind of ticks me off about these kinds of arguments is they leave out the reason that people with eye issues and migraines chooses to read their manga on a Kindle Coloursoft compared to, let's say, an iPad or whatever. So the argument that's made is generally more towards comic books than it is manga, but I'm going to include manga as this because there were a couple videos I did watch where they basically said that the Coloursoft is not ideal to reading manga. Even though I use it to read manga. Now, I also use it to read, books, but I also use it to read manga. And I will say that having the muted colors does not even affect my reading, because Flying Witch is primarily, and like all your manga, primarily black and white. So when you go and you're reading a black and white manga, why in the world should color be something that you should be concerned with? Because 99% of that manga is already going to be black and white. I have a Kindle Paperwhite. This is the 12th gen. It's in Jade. Love it. I also use this to read when my Coloursoft is being charged up. So anyways, so here's the thing, okay? When we're talking about comic books, yes, having that vivid screen is great for you if you really want the full power and effect of those panels. But if you're like me that has eye issues and has migraines, reading on an LCD screen is just continuing that screen time that a lot of people are like, yeah, we need to cut back on the screen time. You can if you're working at any kind of restaurant or anything like that. You always are bombarded by screen time, and I spend hours looking at screens, mainly because I have to look at a screen to do my job. To have a break from vivid color on a screen is so wonderful. I have actually gotten migraines from looking at that LCD screen at work. I've had to pop pain relievers into me in order to be able to get through the day. That is how bad these LCD screens are for my eyes. Reading a manga on my Kindle Coloursoft gives my eyes a break from the LCD screen, just as it would do if I was reading it on my Paperwhite. So another thing that I kind of look at people when they're trying to argue that that Kindle Colorsofts are not ideal for reading comics is they love to say that if you read a comic book on a Kindle Coloursoft, you are not experiencing what the artist intended you to experience. Well, if the artist is dead, I don't see how they're going to argue that point. Two, these were originally physical comic books. Okay? If I'm reading a physical comic book, I'm not going to have that eye strain and those migraines and all that type of stuff. But you go and splash the same comic book on an LCD screen, and I can get through maybe 3 issues, and then I start having a migraine. I was like, no. And now if I'm reading as a physical comic, and I still have physical comics, don't worry about that, I still do. I can get through 20 issues of a comic book in one day without having any kind of eye issues. Now, I just purchased today. I said I'm only going to purchase one manga this week, and that is, I quit my apprenticeship to a Royal Court Wizard. Basically, it's about hold on a second. I have the one here. Okay, here's. I quit my apprentice as a Royal Court Wizard to become a magic item craftswoman. Now, I had done a sample, and I didn't realize that it was volume 4. I was like, okay, I need to read volume 1. But I did like the idea, but I really do want to read volume 1. So I did buy volume 1 from Comixology on Amazon's website. So I'm looking forward to reading it. So that is the only manga that I'm purchasing this week. That's all I can afford right now. But anyways, with the Kindle Colorsoft, I love it that that the cover is in color, that I'm utilizing it for what it is supposed to be. Which is to read manga, comic books, graphic novels. They make it very clear that this device is primarily supposed to be to read manga, comic books, graphic novels. Now, they don't prohibit you from reading books. They don't. It is a Kindle. But if you bought this primarily to read manga because you can't read manga on an LCD screen because of your eyes, hey, go for it. But the great thing about Comixology is I can get the first volume of a book for free. Now, not all of them do that. Not all the titles allow you to do this. But when you do get them and you read them, then it can really influence, are you going to actually get, are you going to buy the first volume and then buy the second volume, and that way, so to me it's like, I basically will be purchasing or acquiring like one title a week. That's not going to put me in the poorhouse for, because with Comixology, I do get a discount on manga, which is really, really great. And yeah, I spent like, what was it? This one right here that I just purchased or acquired. It was $9.99. They knocked it down to $8.99, so I got $1 off. And trust me, when you're on a tight budget, $1 off is great. And then, of course, when I read all of these manga, then I'm going to say, okay, do I want to delete this issue? Because I don't like the manga. I didn't like the first volume, so I probably won't like the second volume. So that is, what I'm doing. And then it will really like limit me to like, and then I can pick like Then when I'm done with a series, as it's already been published, and say it's not the end of the series, it's just, that's just the end of that particular volume, then I can pick up another volume and start reading that one. So I'm reading a total of 8 manga on my Colorsoft. And I like Attack on Titan. I will pick up volume 2 probably next month or maybe in March, depending on how quickly I read through the manga I already have on my device. So yeah, it is, to me, it is absolutely vital to have a device that I can read my manga without having the eye strain. Now, another thing they don't mention in these comparison videos between like the iPad and the Kindle, the distraction aspect of it. One of the, oh, by the way, this is also another thing you're gonna like. Yes, this is the wallpaper from the Flying Witch, because my Kindle's currently sleeping right now. But anyways, one of the things that they do not tell you in these comparison videos is a distraction. When I want to read manga, I do not want to be hit with notifications of this, and this. Okay? Like the newest shit remover that you gotta buy. I said that one time, my brother laughed his butt off. Kindles are great to read manga because they do not have the distraction aspect of it. It doesn't matter if you're reading this on a Colorsoft or on a Paperwhite, you are not going to be distracted by notifications and all that type of stuff. I was actually watching a comparison video between the iPad Mini and the Kindle Colorsoft, and he did mention the distraction aspect. With an iPad or a tablet or whatever, you're constantly being hit with notifications. Even on my Lenovo tablet, I am hit with distractions. That is why I barely use it, because I do not want to be constantly hit with notifications of things that I do not want to be hit with. Now, one of the things that I've noticed with Kindle devices is that if you have Comixology or you're subscribed to Comixology, they do not show those in their store. Fine with me, you know. But the thing is, when you are trying to read a manga and you're getting so immersed in it, you do not want that immersion to be interrupted by notifications. And that is why the Colorsoft, at least to me, is perfect for reading manga. Now, another device that's even better to read manga is the Kobo Libra Color. Now, I will not be purchasing that because I just think that spending money for another device is insane. I don't have money to spend like that anymore. So I'm just going to stick with what I already own, which is always the best thing to do. I love it. I love it. So it's like, if I'm happy with the device that I'm using to read manga or read comic books, why in the world would I want to spend over $200 for another device that's essentially going to do the same thing, is read manga, and it's not distraction and all that type of stuff. So I am enjoying this, and the weird thing is, when people did those videos when they were trying to convince you to buy an iPad Mini or to read your comic books or your manga on a device that is not good for your eyesight, that causes you to get migraines and things like that, a couple people were very quickly to point out, I read my manga on my Colorsoft because of my eyesight, because I get migraines. They never responded back to any of those comments because they did not want to be told, first of all, your review did not take in consideration people with medical issues that, So, another thing, hold on. Alright. Another thing that I love about my Kindle Colorsoft is that it does exactly what Amazon says it is supposed to do. It reads manga. It helps you to enjoy these colorful colors on these cover. If you have a light novel and there is a page with color, you can read it. You can look at it. You can appreciate it. It is not meant to insult the creator of that art. It is not. It is meant to make that art much more accessible to people with medical issues like migraines and, and eye problems and things like that. Now, just like with if you were reading this on an iPad, you have to tap the left because it is a manga, and the program will automatically be like, yeah, you got to read this in the traditional Japanese format. Anyways, I am going to get back to my manga. I'm going to be leaving before long. Not looking forward to going out in this weather, but I promised my boss I was going to come in today and work. It's supposed to be my day off, but I'm going to come in and work. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do my entire shift because it's supposed to be really heavy. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully the power does not go out in here, because I really would be upset if the power went out. Alright, so that's my video. I'll see you around.